Hey, I'm Jonathan Smith, President of New York Metro Area Postal Union, and I'm coming to you today with a very important message. June 22nd, contract negotiations start at the national level of APWU. And for the first time in history, it will be live streamed, where the members will have the ability to look in and see the opening day of contract negotiations. And I implore you to tune in. It's very important for two reasons. The first reason is it's important that you support your national negotiators by being on that live stream and send a message to management that you stand behind your national negotiators. And the second reason is you need to hear it firsthand how postal leadership, starting with Louis DeJoy, the Postmaster General, feels about you and the things that they're going to say about you and how you're getting too much money and you don't deserve no more, and the problems with the Postal Service is because we have to pay the workers too much money. On June 21st, there will be a virtual contract rally. I've sent the information out on our Facebook page, on the members-only email blast, and all the New York Metro shop stewards have this information. So you could get the link to tune in to the contract rally. It's important that you be there to show solidarity with your national contract negotiators. All of you that are members of APWU have been sent stickers to your home to wear on June 22nd. And we also have buttons if you want to see your shop steward to come to the union office to show your solidarity with your national contract negotiators. But if you are a window clerk or motor vehicle driver or any postal worker that has to wear a uniform, you are not allowed to wear it on your uniform. But you were not forgotten about. APWU has mailed to New York Metro, and I believe all the locals around the country, wristbands for those that wear a uniform and is not able to wear the stickers or the buttons. It's important on June 22nd that management sees a sea of solidarity behind your national contract negotiators. I can't put it no simpler than this. It's time to put up or shut up. It's a lot of people that make excuses on why they dropped out the union or they're not in the union. And I say excuses because they're not giving me any reason. Because when something is not right, you don't quit, you make it better. When I was having problems and I thought the union could be stronger, instead of complaining about it, I did something about it and I ran for office and I ran and I won. What message are you sending to children, if you have children or anybody else, that when something doesn't go your way, you just quit? And the reason that you do this, you quit, is because you have unreasonable expectations, because you expect the union to be perfect. And that's unreasonable. And I say this all the time, and I will share this with you. I talk to people and I said, "Are you married?" And they go, "Yes." I said, "So you chose to be with your husband and wife?" And they go, "Yes." I said, "So your marriage is perfect?" They go, "No." I said, "You got to be. You chose to be with this person. How could it not be perfect?" They said, "No marriage is perfect." I said, "Let me get this straight. You control everything, and you accept the fact that it's not going to be perfect?" And they say, "Yes, no marriage is perfect." Yet you come to the post office where you don't control anything, and you get mad and drop out the union, not for what the union did to you a lot of times, but because what management did to you, and you have the unreasonable expectation that the union could just snap their fingers and fix everything. And you don't control anything at the post office, yet you expect it to be perfect. So let me get this straight. You control everything at home and accept that it's not perfect. You control nothing at the postal service and get mad because it's not perfect. How is that reasonable? And tell me how that makes sense. So what I'm saying is the real obligation and the reason that unions were put together so we can get better wages, better work hours, and better work conditions. It has nothing to do. People say, I never get in trouble. The union is not about you getting in trouble. They pay you what they pay you is because the union has fought for these wages. They can't force you to work unreasonable overtime because the union negotiated that right. You don't work in situations that's unsafe and hopefully unclean because the union fought for a safe work environment. And what pisses me off the most, people, especially these non-members, because I got an issue with non-members that's not involved in this fight. They always like to say, well, you got to represent me anyway. So the truth is that you're telling on yourself. The truth ain't got nothing to do with your anger with management. The truth got nothing to do with your anger with the union. You just want something for nothing. And that says a lot about your character. But my biggest problem is this. The people working in the Postal Service today, besides a very few old timers, are the ones that actually fought for the benefits that we enjoy today. Back in 1970, they went on strike, the Great Postal Strike. A lot of young people might not know about it, but you need to look into it. And the older postal workers need to talk to them about it so they'll know the history of the Postal Service. And they went on an illegal strike because it was illegal to walk off the job as part of the Teller Act. Police, fire, and the postal workers are included in that. It's called the Wildcat Strike. And everybody that went on strike could have been fired. And they had a family to take care of, houses to pay for, maybe even cars. Or they wanted that, but the wages were not good enough for them to be able to achieve that American dream. So in this video that I was watching, the commentator asked them, he said, if you knew that you could lose everything, why would you go on strike? And they said, we had a responsibility to make things better for the future generation. And I thank them from the bottom of their heart, from the bottom of my heart, because that future generation was me when I came along. And my grandfather was a postal worker, and he told me he had pride in being a postal worker. And the postal workers was his family. I went to so many picnics and cookouts with his co-workers and stuff like that. I had so many aunts and uncles. It was ridiculous. Now we got the postal worker coming to work talking about, I don't come here to make no friends. Some of you work overtime every single day. Some of penalty overtime. You at the post office 10, 12 hours a day. You see your co-workers more than you see your family, and you don't want to be their friend. Tell me where that makes sense. I'm just not understanding the mentality. And a lot of people say that the Postal Service has changed. And I'm here to tell you that the Postal Service has not changed. The workers have changed because the Postal Service is still trying to get more for less. And they've always tried to get more for less. But what happened is, back in the 1970s and when my grandfather was working, and even when I first came in the post office in the late 80s, when one of us was disrespected, all of us was disrespected. The shop store didn't even have to ask us for a statement because we had one waiting when they got there. And they would move that one supervisor before they would move 20 employees because they realized that we were serious. And the bottom line is the Postal Service is not going to let nothing slow down that mail if all they got to do is move one supervisor. But because you do not stick together, y'all act like the supervisor is running the place. I remember I was watching on TV this show called Locked Up. And it was talking about these guards that watch the prisoners. And the commentator was saying, well, yeah, you run this prison. He said, no, they run this prison. Without their permission, we can't get anything done because anytime they want to take over this prison, they can. But in the post office, the supervisors and the managers run it. One supervisor, one manager controlling 50 to 100 employees at a time. Because your power you gave away because you refused to stick together. Now, this is our 1970. We have a Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy, that has made it clear how little respect that he has for the postal worker. He came right into the job on June 15, 2020, and he started taking out mail processing equipment. He started cutting the overtime. Right now, Louis DeJoy is getting rid of supervisors. They're having a reduction in force where some of them will lose their jobs. And they're scared to death. That's why I don't understand, especially these newly converted PSEs. Everybody wants to be a 204B or they want to go into management. Do you see what he's doing to management? And if he would do that to his own, what do you think he will do to us if he had the opportunity? But he can't do that to us because we have a contract that will not allow that to be done. Wow. Yeah, this lousy contract that people like to complain about keeps Louis DeJoy at bay. I can remember when I was executive vice president of this union and 9/11 happened and the planes hit those Twin Towers and Church Street, it was right around the corner from there. And I had just come through the World Trade Center maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes before those planes hit. And I had the displeasure of having to watch people jump out of the towers because they had to make a choice, take a chance on jumping or burn up in the towers. But what was very profound is some weeks later, there was people crying that worked down there on Wall Street and Fortune 500 companies that were given pink slips because those businesses were destroyed. And they knew that they were never going to come back. And they had to evacuate Church Street because the air quality was so bad down there from the fuel that came out the plane and the soot from the towers collapsing. But those people at Church Street were sent to other facilities like Morgan and all around the city, not out of the goodness of management heart, because of this lousy contract that people like to complain about. Management had a responsibility to keep them gainfully employed. And we are failing in our responsibility to the PSEs instead of saying, oh, they don't listen to nobody and this and that. Put them under your arm like the old timers did me when I first came into the Postal Service. And they said, this is how we do it here because we are proud postal workers. Encourage them to come to work and to be a part of the future of the Postal Service. They're not bad people. They're just young people making bad decisions. Why don't we take the responsibility to let them see the opportunity and the future that they have sitting in front of them, being a postal worker? But all these benefits that I'm talking about could be gone tomorrow. See, the thing about it is what you have to understand is our union, our contract, our future that we're fighting for right now. And your national negotiators need your support. They need you to show up on the 21st to the rally to get them pumped up. And on the 22nd, they need you to show up so postal management can see that we stand behind our negotiators. We stand behind our union and we believe in our future. And you don't even have to open up your mouth. All you got to do is show up. And I'm asking you, in fact, I'm begging you, show up. Make New York Metro proud. Be there. Show your union pride. And if you're not a member, you need to join in this fight and stop making excuses because you don't have a reason. You just want something for nothing and you should be ashamed of yourself. No sacrifice have you made at all to get what you got. And then you got the nerve to complain. Anytime we call a rally, you can't show up at a rally. We got more people from other organizations than postal workers. Where are we at? That's like you coming up to me and said, Mr. Smith, those people said they was going to kick my behind. And I go, what? No, we ain't going to have that. And I said, let's go. We're going to deal with that right now. And I go over to them and I said, listen, y'all over there messing with my friend? And they said, what friend? And I look around and you gone. Do we still got to fight? That's what I feel like because y'all keep inviting me into these fights with management, which I don't mind fighting. Anybody knows me that I love a good fight, but I do mind fighting alone. And I don't want the national negotiators to feel like they're fighting alone. They need to know that we are behind them 1 trillion %. Because they all we got. And over the years, we continue to get progress, even in these uncertain times. Even in these times with COVID and everything, we got protections that many companies didn't get. We made sure that they had the sanitizers, that they had the gloves, that they had the masks, and they had the plexiglass. And it was up to you to make sure that they had the social distance. Had so many people come up to me and say, oh, well, management not making them social distance. Management don't have to make them. I'm not letting nobody be within 6 feet of me working and I see more than 500,000 people died. I'm going to wait for somebody to tell somebody to move away from me 6 feet? Are we kidding here? When is adults going to start being adults? When are we going to start stepping up and realizing there's a part for us to play in our own future? I know New York Metro is going to show up and we're going to show out. Because I know that we're going to be there on June 21st at the virtual contract rally between the hours of 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. And don't give me no excuse that it's too late because for you men, if it was the Super Bowl was on, it would be no excuse. It wouldn't be no excuse. And for you women, if Lifetime was on, it would be no excuses. And for you young people, if it was a Jay-Z and Beyonce concert, that wouldn't be too late. Well, what's more important than what puts the food on your table and gives you the ability to do all those things that I just talked about? Come on now. We can do this. It's our union. It's our contract. It's our future. Won't you stand with me to protect what those in 1970 sacrificed everything to get? And now, will you stand up to your responsibility to make the Postal Service even better for the generation that's coming after you? I know you will. God bless you until the next time we have to speak again.